Welcome back to another Scarcast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Yambani Chronicles. And I am joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey everybody.
He is a graphic illustrator and creator of Evil Insurrection, Evil Reclamation, as well as Growing in the Garden. He is also the main artist that works on the graphic novels for Ancient Illumination as well as Yambani Chronicles comics. We are also joined by Jocelyn Short.
Hello.
She is also a graphic artist and creator. She's working on a comic now titled Bearers. We are eagerly anticipating that coming out soon. There will be links in the description of this podcast linking you to our websites if you are interested in any of our creative endeavors. Today we're talking about Acolyte, episode 6. So spoiler alert if you have not at least watched that far into the series. As usual, I'm going to go through some of my notes and then we will pause to discuss kind of sections as we go along. So, like I said, spoiler, if you ain't watched up to episode 6, click off on this, go watch it, and then catch us on Spotify. Episode 6 is titled Teach/Corrupt. And I feel like they use this a lot where Osha wakes up and she's kind of horizontal and the camera kind of flips as she wakes up, and she wakes up on an unknown planet, as it's dubbed. But I'm wondering if this planet might not be Baldemic, or Baldemnik is a planet in the legends where Darth Tenebrous and Plagueis were mining the Cortosis ore. So I'm wondering if maybe they just don't know, it hasn't been titled yet, and maybe that's the planet. She notices she's been tended to because her wound is kind of semi-healed. She's got a bandage over her midsection. She looks around, finds some water, and then finds her sister's clothes, and gets a little like open sleeve hoodie, puts them on, and walks out to find that she's on an island. I don't know what the hell those animals were. I kept calling them elephant gulls, the little seagull things that were sitting on this rocky beach, and she sees a ship moored across from the entrance. And then Kamir comes strolling out to haunting music. He's just going on a walkabout on his day. And then they just show him walking. And then they flip to Kofar, where Saul he takes off. Comms are not fully functional. And I'm thinking, how did Kamir get such a head start? The message still partially relays that Saul's team is dead. But let's stop and talk about that for a hot second. Like, at least May was ambulatory. She could walk on her own power. Kamir picks up an unconscious Osha, but somehow he beats them both off planet. Not only has he beat them both off planet, but he's already chilling at his little island retreat on another planet, and they're just now taking off. I don't get that.
I don't think that's that hard to believe. He just got off planet and then hit the warp drive, hit the hyperspace jump, and was out of there. I mean,
but for him to get back to his ship, when one person that he's with, he's got to bear the full weight of this other person who's unconscious, while Saul and May are both fully able to walk themselves back to said ship.
Well, I wonder if because we don't see him carry Osha, or I can't remember if we do or not.
He picks her up at the end.
Yeah,
he picks her up. That's it. But
we don't
that's
see
unnecessary screen time to just show that it literally was unnecessary. Time passes in film. It's like, all right, we get it. May went to sleep, or Osha went to sleep, woke up. She was on a new planet. That clearly indicates that time passed.
Yeah. I mean, it indicates that time's passed. My thing is, why aren't they both leaving around the same time? It seems like Saul is way behind.
And
Kamir.
That you say that, the funny part is, I feel like I kind of feel like I need to wait till we get to the next part of the conversation. But I feel like this just leans into what I've been joking about with Saul, is that he's not a good Jedi. And he's sulking. He's literally kind of like sulking about, as this episode progresses. So it's like the fact that he's moving slowly is kind of on brand with just what we've seen from him. Seen the most. He doesn't seem the most like gung ho. We got to get stuff done. Like Yord would have been out there. Yord would have been like, we're gonna find him.
Yeah,
Soul's just, I'm sad.
yeah. So then we
He's so bad at his job.
get back
Yeah,
to
he's
this
bad.
job.
He's bad cop.
And so then we see May pretending to be Osha walking around the ship. She recalls the Jedi test as a child. This kind of was bothering me ever so often. Basil creeping around, sniffing after May the entire time, making little weird noises, and nobody seems to recognize or notice that he's there. I'm like, is this fool, is he invisible or something? Like, no one can see this little rodent thing sniffing around, making gurgling noises. Saul says they were ambushed, and May looks like she's about to make an attempt at taking him out before he orders her to take the wheel while he resets the transceiver. And I'm like, he can't feel that bad intent that close to him.
That part's bull.
Possibly, possibly preoccupied with grief.
I wonder.
I wouldn't even give him that. I think that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. He should know that's not her. But he may have had a feeling.
I feel like he's scamming people. I feel like he's running.
He's a con man. He's
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like he's running a scam at this point. Because like, I feel like we progressively see him miss things. We see him like just be late to stuff. Like, you know, like late to late to the action, late to move, late to make a correct decision. And I don't know, like maybe he's actually like Jedi mind tricking everyone to cover up whatever bad thing he did, which again leads back to what did he do? Like
Yeah.
what
Because
happened?
he did it. At this point, he did
He
something.
did it.
Yeah, they still haven't
He
they still
done
haven't
did it.
spilled the beans on that. I was still amazed though that he couldn't feel the bad intent like 2 feet behind him. Like I said, maybe he's preoccupied with grief because you see him break down, and then it briefly looks like he has an epiphany. Like he stops after he like kind of cries, punches the desk, and then he stops. Looks like he comes to some realization, and that's at least that's what I see portrayed on his face. Then after he looks down, and then here we go again with Basil comes sniffing in to find the plug to plug Pip in. Then they flip back to the unknown planet where Kamir is being obviously followed. My boy goes skinny dipping, showing off an interesting scar. Knew he was being
Backstar.
knew he was being followed, and then my boy just starts critiquing OSHA's lightsaber stance from the water, which was hilarious to me. He knows her history.
Hmm?
He knows her history.
Mm-hmm.
Casually invites her to join him. And then walks up to her butt naked while asking if she thinks killing him now would be the honorable thing and that her anger betrays her thoughts. Why is it not the same for May? Like her anger should betray her thoughts in that close proximity to Soul, but it's not. He talks briefly about the master pupil dynamic and her feeling towards Soul, and then he just walks off.
You know, this part is very interesting for a couple of reasons.
Mhm.
One, because I know when moments like this happen, like fans who like to ship characters, automatically ship them. And in my brain, I was like, okay, sometimes fans can do too much. They ship people unnecessarily, and I wasn't thinking that like they were actually gonna be a thing. I still don't think that. That's it. I feel like I think he knew she was gonna follow him.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Obviously.
he knew she was gonna follow him, and but he made it. That was a very calculated choice to go skinny dipping, knowing she would follow him, and so
he did everything but whistle as he walked out the cave. Doot, 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 doot.
Yeah.
He could have just did that.
But and so fans are understandably so like, oh, he wants her, and maybe he does, but also now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, I'm like, he's manipulating her.
Yeah,
like,
that's all that is. He's just being he's being a temptress.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all he is.
He's being a literal siren right now.
Yeah.
Going into the water.
You get in here? I see how you're holding that lightsaber. Like, it was just these weird, like, sexual, but not, I wouldn't even call it undertones. It was just directly right there. I was like, see how you holding that lightsaber? I was like, all right, come on, y'all.
And listen,
I don't. You're not going to join me. I'd like to put my clothes back on.
And like, but do you want to? like this is just wild to me. Like, what? We're not watching Star Wars anymore. We're watching Bed Wars.
I mean, but listen, I understand. Like, it's.
Hey, it was entertaining, but then
it
was taken away. It wasn't. I don't know. I was entertained by this, but other things need to happen for this to just be acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how far the manipulation goes. Just because I'm like, all right, like, yes, that man is fine. That man is good.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right. And I'm like, okay, if he's this, a knight of the Ren or whatever, a Sith or whatever, I'm like, if he knows he's fine, he's going to use that to his advantage. How far is he going to take that? I'm curious about that.
Well, both Yoda and Obi-Wan mention literally the seduction of the dark side. So this is like the literal sense of it.
Yeah, literally.
And I saw parallels in this to Anakin's seduction to the dark side, but it was actually a different tactic taken here. It's not the same as Palpatine, but I saw some parallels to it. So they go back to the ship just outside of Kofar, and Sol picks up the hyperspace attachment, or rather, May does this for the ship. And I had a question here. Does May know where the hyperspace attachment was, or was it autopilot? And if it was on autopilot, what need was there for him to ask her to take the wheel?
I think it was.
Yeah, he did.
I think
it was autopilot.
I think May probably doesn't know because Osha is the one who's good with tech.
No. I'm just saying the direction of where the attachment was. He tells her to take the wheel so he can go downstairs and reset the transceiver while it goes. But she obviously hooked the ship up to that hyperspace attachment, and then he comes back in, and then we get that awkward hug. And then he, as an awkward hug, LOL. And then Sol admits that he was about to go dark because he says about the stranger pushing him so far. And so he was just like, it sounded like he's about to admit that he was about to go to the dark side, which, if Osha didn't stop him, he would have lopped off Kamir's head up. Yeah. And that the High Council, he also admits that the High Council doesn't even know what went down on Brenda. Comms go back up, stopping Sol from confiding in May. System glitches, and Sol asks her to go take a look, thinking it's Osha, like Jordan just mentioned, with mechanic skills, but obviously she doesn't have it. And I like her cover up, like, I need a few minutes. Give me a couple minutes, and I'll go take a look. That was pretty funny. And then we go ahead.
Sorry, the Jedi need body cams.
Yeah, they did. They need cop body cams. It'd be hilarious. We go back to Coruscant, and Master Venestra hears of arrival in the Senate gaining support, and there's a request for a review of the Jedi Order, and she says that Rayan Court has never been a friend of the Jedi. And I like, this was the funniest thing. This was laughable. The senator that she's talking to says the Jedi have always been transparent with the Senate. And I'm like, the Jedi haven't been transparent with the Jedi. So they're not telling nobody the truth.
Just lying.
Lying to everybody. He's like, it's just an ambitious senator grasping for power. And then right on cue, she cuts him off quick because Maul comes in and she knows she's about to get some more information. He was just talking about how transparent they are. He's like, ooh, I got to go. Let me get this. Cuts him off.
Out of here.
Yeah. And Maul gives the news about the distress signal from Sol. It's another, even within this brief moment, we see again how not transparent the Jedi are. He didn't know about the mission to the Outer Rim, like at all. And he says there have been casualties, LOL, because there ain't no casualty. That was in video games, we call that a team wipe. Like everybody got killed. like well, Kevin Hart, chum, everybody gonna die. Like except for obviously Sol, Osha, and May. Venestra orders a rescue team, and then revealing that she sent Sol because Moog doesn't know where Sol is. He's like, how do you know where he is? And she's like, I sent him. And then doesn't say nothing else and just walks off. And he's just dumbfounded, following behind her. Meanwhile, it's tea time with Kamir, who reveals he was once a Jedi. question: how long is a long time ago?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Because she's like, I don't remember you, and he's like, well, it was a very long time ago. He questions Soul's strength in the Force because Osha claims that Soul is very strong in the Force and like threatening, like basically, my daddy gonna come beat you up type. That's what type of energy she was on. He's very strong in the Force, and he's like, Soul strong in the Force? He's like, no, you're strong in the Force. She's like perplexed by that exchange. And this is what I mean. I think this is Anakin all over again, because if y'all remember during the prequel movies with Palpatine, basically when Palpatine was basically every time he thought the Jedi were hating on Anakin, oh, they won't give you the title of Master.
I remember that.
Couldn't be me. Like you're the most powerful one up in there. They ain't letting you shine. That's horrible. So that's kind of what Kamir's doing.
Yeah, it is.
The Jedi are so terrible at what they do.
They're
really bad at
I
this.
don't know. It's funny like watching all these movies, and it's like I feel like I want to like the Jedi because they're the good guys, but then I keep just remember they got decimated in the Clone Wars, or after the Clone Wars, and then struggled to come back again. So it's like, who's really winning, y'all?
I mean, but visually, the Sith were always cooler to me.
That's what I'm starting to realize. They're a little cooler.
I just feel like the best way to do this kind of dichotomy of like light versus dark is like where you have like the light side be like real gung ho, like they're on 10.
And that's the problem. We never get this.
Yeah.
Besides, like maybe Yoda. I feel like that was like one of the few times I was like, oh, the Jedi are about that because Yoda started fighting Palpatine and like Dooku, and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
He was going, I thought I was going to get kicked out the theater when that thing came out.
Like I'm like, you need like the light side to be unhinged.
Yeah,
like,
you need somebody, or just you need somebody that powerful. That's like, I know I walk in humility, but I could kill all of you if I needed to. But then again, no, we don't do that because we're Jedi.
You gotta. I look up Dame Aylin on YouTube. She's from Baldur's Gate 3. She's like, to me, a prime example of like in the embodiment of like the light side, like a good example of it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we go back to the ship, and we see a bad attempt at slapstick comedy with Basil as he tries to tackle May on her leg and then jumps off, and she squirts herself in the face with some oil.
Hot oil.
And then she finds she has Pip, puts him back together, and then she didn't put him in, not yet. She just has the head. My girl factory resets Pip like a cell phone. In my notes say LOL. And why are the lights Sith red when it's rebooted?
That's a good point. I said the same thing. Like, why is it red? It went from white to red.
Yeah, it was white before.
Yeah.
The lights. And then she runs a power systems check because now the reset Pip will listen to her. We're back with Kamir and Osha just talking it out at his little island retreat. He mentions how dogmatic the Jedi can be about the Force. And of course, he has another way. He claims what he describes as the dark side. He basically replies with tomato. When she presses him on the killing that he did, he's like, oh, but you're cool with them using you. Here, take some ramen. I just made it. And then she's basically like, I'm not my sister. You can't get me with butt-naked sweet talk and some soup.
He said, you don't know.
You don't know about that? What's this?
That's Jocelyn said that's yet to be revealed. It might work.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it might.
It's funny how he calls her bluff, like when she's staring down at the cave, but she didn't intentionally go there. He's like, aren't you forgetting something? Didn't you come here to do something? I'm like, no, she didn't come there on purpose. You brought
kidnapped
her there.
You kidnapped her.
Yeah, there's a difference. It's not like she was on a solo mission and she was, there to execute you. You took her there. And then he basically calls her bluff again because, like, you're really not about that life. Why do you still call yourself a Jedi? He presses her about that, and then he's like, really the pain is who you are. Use it, and that's why the Jedi got rid of you, because you're about that pain, and they couldn't have that. And then Osha reveals that that's not the case, she washed out. She failed her Jedi trials and didn't finish her training. Activates is at that admission she activates the lightsaber and pushes him, but doesn't strike. He claims to understand what she's going through, excuse me, and that he had to lose everything to gain freedom, and that's pretty close to what the Sith credo is in the end, So yeah, this is part of the difference I see between Khmer and Palpatine, whereas I think Palpatine would have started cackling and laughing when she lit up the lightsaber, like, yes, do it. He was challenged her in that way, whereas Khmer was kind of more reserved and was like, look, I understand what you're going through. I understand why you heated. I was once tossed out too. You know what I mean? So it's a different tack. So there are kind of similarities and there are also differences to their approach. And then finally we go back to Coruscant, and apparently Venestra doesn't do well in hyperspace, yet insists on going with the rescue squad. And she checks Mo quick on that. Monk is just kind of dumb to me. He thinks the deaths are due to the wild planet. And I was surprised. I always put a question mark by this. They go with 4 Jedi when you just lost 7 or 8.
I rounded up to 10 at that point. Y'all lost too many people.
We had to go deep. You know what I mean? If
we got to bring 16 this time.
Yeah, we got to do something.
We're going to lose them all again. I don't know. That Mog guy reminds me of like, because he has it's funny. He has a kind of British accent. I always associate that with like the Imperials.
Okay.
And just look like those random guys who be working on the Empire ship and just like helping out. And he kind of reminds me of that, but in the inverse with the Jedi. Like he's kind of just a helper, and it's kind of like
he's like an administrator to me.
I'm like, why are you an admin guy? Like this is dumb.
Yeah, he's the
Jedi admin, like Jedi admin support.
Hey, everybody got wiped. We had the desk workers had to go out in the field, so that's what he seems like. So Basil slinks around as May fishes for information. Saul mentions Osha's attachment to Pip. Saul feels guilty over not sensing Khmer's intent, and I'm like, bro, you've been not sensing stuff, or you're not sensing something right now. Like who you're on the ship with? You don't. Never mind Khmer. You got somebody in your face that you don't sense the true nature of the being in front of you. And then the system magically boots back up, just as it seems that Saul's about to give us the good. Did you guys recognize this? That this was like a trope? Either a message would come in, the ship would glitch, something would happen. The moment it seems like Saul's about to tell what happened, and then something happens. Message comes in, he turns around and gets distracted, goes and doesn't finish that next sentence or even state what he's about to say.
It's the most annoying thing ever, to be honest with you. I hate when they do this in shows. It's very frustrating.
It was weird here, especially because May tries the comms and Saul just stuns her. But previously, there was no indication that the light bulb finally turned on for him. He just lets her walk out of the room. She goes, tries to turn off the comms, and she's about to say, "My name is," and before she can say Slim Shady, he stuns her in the back. And she falls out. And Basil is there again in the background, sniffing and making noises, but Saul never turns around to like acknowledge him or anything. He's
I hate it so much. I hate it.
I'm like, what finally tipped Saul off?
I have a question. So is there a thing with Jedis that something can happen to them, or like can they have something put on them or done to them to make them like less sensitive to energies or presences or something?
No, I don't think so. The whole thing is like Palpatine and Sith, because of the nature of them and the Jedi for a long time they have a skill where they can hide their presence in the Force. But that's how Palpatine was able to hide so long, being Supreme Chancellor, and before that just a senator from Naboo, that they didn't realize until he revealed himself that he was actually a Sith. But I don't think that that's the case here, because May is not fully trained. She's just really in the rudimentary beginnings of her training, so she shouldn't be able to hide, which is why this makes no sense why he couldn't tell earlier that it was her and not her sister on the ship with him. And just at that moment, Vernestra's message comes through that telling him that a rescue team is on the way and leave your transponder on. My boy turns the transponder off and dips into hyperspace.
This man's guilty.
Yeah, immediately dips. And this is when I say, is Basil invisible? Like nobody seems to see this dude. Like, except for May was watching him through the floorboards a little bit, but everybody else just seems to be oblivious to him.
This is also strange that he wouldn't notice the Basil character, because like what? And forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but didn't he put this team together, like this reconnaissance team, to figure out?
Well, he was the tracker. Basil was the tracker that came with them to track Kelnaka on Kafar.
Right, so he
Soul
knows Basil's purpose, and he approved Basil to come on this expedition, and so he should be checking in with Basil. Like
my man's never talked to Basil entire.
No, he doesn't. So either he's being supremely rude, and just ignoring my boy the whole time, or he's just not noticing him, which is strange.
And I also it's a couple things. So I wonder, because I know like most of the team could not understand Basil except for Yord.
Oh, yeah, Yord is the only one who knew his language.
Yeah, but also he still should be checking in with him just to see. Like, that man lost in the sauce. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. So the Jedi make landfall on Kafar. Locals say the Umber Moths, aka the baby Mothra colony, hatch, wreaking havoc on a local settlement. Which Mog thinks is evidence that his theory was true, that, well, perhaps it's just the wildlife, it's an unsettled planet mainly, and they just, that could explain the casualties. Like, no, not 7 or 8 Jedi. That don't explain all of them dying. The Jedi walk off into the wilderness. Then we flash back to the unknown planet, and Khmer works on his Smilo Ren helmet as they sit there and talk over a bowl of soup. She finally asks him, what does he want? It's like the power of 2, which was kind of funny. The power of 1, the power of 2, the power of many. But he just wants the power of 2. And of course, there's the rule of 2 with the Sith. So I think that's what he is really wants. He wants to be a master and apprentice, or acolyte in this instance. Have you noticed that he will sometimes ask her to answer a question she asks? Instead of answering the question, she'll be like, well, what happened to this? And he'd be like, what did you think happened to it? But he won't directly answer the question.
So deflecting.
Because
I'm annoyed with Saul. I feel like he's not as interesting as he needs to be this shady.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Khmer.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No, that's normal Khmer behavior. He's a manipulator. Of course, he would be deflecting and asking.
Yeah, because she's like, why did you bring me here? He's like, why do you think I brought you here?
You didn't answer my question.
Yeah. How did you get that scar? How do you think I got the scar? Like, come on, man.
I'm so frustrated. Now I'm frustrated even more. Like, aside from just the obvious, like, yeah, he's being a villain and manipulating, but I'm really annoyed and also sad for Osha. Just because I feel like she's getting another side of the same coin, where she's getting half truths or no truths, and people
from
not
both
speaking.
Khmer and Soul. That's it.
From both sides. No one is speaking directly to her or telling her the truth about anything, and so I want her to rise above. But she doesn't know how. Like, her whole life, everyone has lied to her about everything. She is nowhere is the truth to be found, and our truth tellers are now dead. So.
So when she asked him on it, he doesn't actually directly answer the question. He's like, somebody who threw me away. She asked, like, your Jedi master. My boy doesn't confirm or deny. He just gives her like that knowing look. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, could this scar be from something we see later? Because we do see something later that the scar is not exactly a straight slash from a normal lightsaber. He tempts May with the helmet and tells her it's just you and the Force and what you bring with you, which to me is a Empire Strikes Back reference when Luke is asked to go in. Yoda tells Luke to go into the dark side cave, but he can't take his weapon. And he's like, what, only what you bring with you. Like you have to bring yourself, and whatever is inside of you is what you get to go into the cave. He's saying the same thing. Like, it's just you and the Force, and only whatever else you bring with you is in there in that helmet. And then he gets up and leaves her, obviously knowing that she's not going to be able to resist. And then we have this scene after that. They go back to Kofar, and we open with Jeki's dead eyes staring to the abyss as the Jedi walk around the crime scene, and Maul deduces that the twins survived. And did it sound to you like maybe it was Vernestra hearing the echoes of what happened through the Force?
Yes, it was clearly evident. Mog didn't know. He couldn't. Mog wasn't at tune with
Yeah,
the
this is
Force
my
like
next
that.
note, because Mog is slow.
No.
Another, baby Mothra is about to get both of them, and then without even looking, Vernestra pulls out that cool ass light whip and doesn't even look, just slashes behind her. And that's when I was like, that kind of, S curve on the scar on the back of Kamir's back. What if Vernestra was his master and is the one that discarded him a long time ago?
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense. And that would be interesting.
Yeah, but plus this show's been telegraphing a lot, to us, like making things painfully obvious that this is what happened, like Kamir the Stranger being either the master or possibly a Sith apprentice to someone else. But obviously he was one with the Sith when he was leading May around. And so now I think they're telegraphing Vernestra potentially being his master, and probably why she's kind of being so shady about
weird.
this. I think she knows. And she asked Mog to basically, what do you see? And he's like, one, there was an explosion, one against many. And then she's like, yeah, everybody was hit with a lightsaber. What does that tell you? And he was like, but who would be powerful enough to fight a group as strong as this? And he's like, do you think Master Saul turned? She's like, that would be a hell of an accusation. And she's like, well, we'll pump the brakes. That's crazy accusation right there. So I'm like, and then she says something to tip the scales. So I have a question mark by that. What does Vernestra know? Because she don't know what Saul did, but she's obviously got some skeletons too that she knows that may have had something to do with all this turmoil. And now she won't answer questions because Maug asked her, well, if it's Saul, why the distress signal? And she doesn't even acknowledge it. She just turns about faces and walks off, my boy. Doesn't even acknowledge that he asked a question. And then we see May wake up in restraints. Saul wants the master. And the episode ends, obviously, with Osha putting on the helmet and the Vader-esque breathing.
Yeah, that irritated me. I hated that ending.
You hated that at the end?
Yeah, I thought it was stupid. I was like, why are you drawing these weird... I don't know. For a character that's most likely not... I feel like she's not going to become a Sith. I feel like that motivation to go down that path doesn't make sense for Osha's character. Yeah. And why draw why have her put on that helmet and do the dumb Vader, the Vader breathing? Like, this ain't going nowhere.
I don't know. That might be because, like I said, they so far they've been really obvious with stuff. That might be what they actually do, and she may in fact be the true acolyte and not May, because she's being courted similarly to the way Anakin was being courted.
I already understand that, but this just feels like a waste, but whatever.
Yeah. See, so yeah, this is and the only thing is, like, my initial complaint about the show is us not getting the full depth and breadth of that inciting event. They still haven't given that to us. We don't know what Saul, Kelnaka, Endara, and Torben did on Brendok 16 years prior, and now we only have 2 episodes left.
I wonder, because what was the group of witches? What are they called again?
I'm about to call them the Sisters of Dathomir. I know they're not them exactly.
Yeah, they're not the Night Sisters.
They're not them.
Yeah, they were just another witch coven, but they were different coven of witches.
I feel like they're not dead, and I feel like
they're alive. Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. They're alive after all. That would be the best part of the show. They never died.
I kind of hope that that's the truth. I want all 3 sides. Like, I want them. I want Saul and the Jedi, and Chimere. I want all three of them there, and then OSHA. Okay.
She has to make a choice.
Or just
about a Mexican standoff. She
I
has
don't
to make
know.
a choice between three different sides. See, that would be more interesting, but that
The
sounds
witches are
interesting
still
too.
there trying to wave OSHA back. Come home.
Yeah.
We're here. Come on.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Because what I want her to do is like, I don't know, find a way to choose herself. Like maybe that could be what this show culminates to, is like she's her own acolyte. You know, like she's.
I would rather that's cool.
Yeah, I want her to choose herself, because she's like, everyone here sucks. Everyone here sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And
she's not that strong. She's not super strong in the Force, so it's like, what's the point of making her go down this path? It's like,
we don't really know that though.
What do you mean we don't know that?
We don't know that because obviously there are people that see potential in her that she doesn't see herself, and it could be a self-inflicted block as to why it's not externally showing. And maybe it might be a desire thing where she does May was all about that, which is why she could never block when they had the little drills with the witches. And OSHA seemed like, I'm not really down to do none of this. I don't really
feel like it.
I don't want to be a witch. Not my life. Like,
you know what it could be? I think, OSHA in general is a gentle person. I think, you know what? Because I feel like, okay. I feel like OSHA probably is like a real true Jedi, actually. Okay. I feel like just because she's the most good in this show, I believe. All right. Aside from all the other Jedi we've seen, they're not good people. All right. They're just not. And OSHA, I think her block is because she's been trained around Jedi who really aren't good people. Like, they're not good Jedi. They're bad at their jobs, and they're also not good people.
She need a Yoda.
Yeah. I think she needs to be trained and fostered by someone who is truly good, like who is true Zen, who is unhinged in goodness,
Yeah, that'd be, and then now that would be a good little arc right there. Yeah. Be like, she finally gets like a mentor that she needed.
Yeah.
Because everybody else failed her. So that would be cool. That would be a cool reveal, or just our character arc to explore.
I mean, yeah, the story arc is still muddled. The aesthetic, I still like the aesthetic of the show, but they did what we told them not to do coming off of last week, and that was they took the foot off the gas on this one. And I don't think you can take it off a little bit, but not. This was almost a full stop.
I think I think the foot was off the gas, but I think they tricked us because Chimera was so high, and so that's where all the like gas was.
That's where the gas was, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in this episode, that's where the gas was?
Yeah, that's where it was. They took all that fight energy and then brought it into like the weird, like brought into the sexual energy of Chimera, him being a seducer, and then just went off the rails after that.
They said, we need to get a girly something to write the fan fictions about. We need
they did. That was the best part. That was the best part.
On their job. And
that's it's out there. Monica says, yes, Jocelyn. You got a comment?
Absolutely. Yes, Monica. They had to get the girlies on their jobs writing the fan fictions. We need to get it going. All right. That's what time it is. That's what time we're on. So that's what they was doing. That's what that fuel was. That's all this past Tuesday was.
Now they got to come back with the hands again next episode to get the other type of excitement going. And we still haven't seen. I'm wondering, because I'm not sure. I don't even know if this is going to get another season. There are rumors going back and forth about that, and I'm gonna at least want some type of conclusion, and we need to see what the hell happened on Brent. And I think it's gonna feel rushed now because we've only got 2 episodes to go to wrap that up and kind of wrap up these conflicts at the same time.
I don't understand. Like we've discussed this from jump, but it's like, why throw off it's gonna take 5 minutes. It'll take 30 seconds, one scene to answer many questions.
No, we need.
But why waste? Like, why push that to the end? Like, why use that as a tool to string audience members along? Like, just answer the question, and tell a good story. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Good mystery.
They shouldn't
at this
have.
point. No, they shouldn't have.
They should have given us that long time ago.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Then we could just push through the plot these last couple episodes and wrap up, and then you could tease us for what comes next. But we still haven't resolved. Like I said, it seems like a trope now. Every time Saul's about to tell, something distracts him. Who do you owe money to? I'll tell you, and then the phone rings or something. It's like each time he don't get to tell what he was about to say.
It's really weird, and I'm also confused about this, like him ducking and dodging, because he seems to be in charge. So I'm like, who are you afraid of answering to? Like, the council. Oh,
because he's not in charge. He's just a master, but he's not on the council, because he even says that the council doesn't know, and he said a couple times now that I need to answer for what happened. So he was gonna, at least he's saying that he's gonna tell the high council what he done did.
He needs to turn himself in, because he's at this point he's literally getting people killed. So more people.
He's a liability.
Yeah. He's literally getting people killed. I mean, it probably has already happened before last week's or the couple weeks ago event. Yeah. All right, but he's doing a bad job.
And technically, I think they got Torben killed, because Torben was a Padawan then. He wasn't a full-on.
I don't even know what's going on. I'm a Padawan, dog.
Yeah, he gets briefly possessed.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Y'all
and then they do some dirt down on the planet that he's all wrapped up in that makes him so guilty that he takes a 10-year Barash vow.
Like this has to be real violent. Like I'm like the stuff that the fact he had to do that. Like they have to give us something so like dark and just tragic to just answer for that, because that's such a bold thing to do.
Yeah. And it's like two of them, really. Well, everybody except Saul kind of went off on that. Like after whatever they did their dirt, everybody else kind of went off on their own. Kelnaka went on this crazy, wild, undeveloped planet to live off alone in a forest where nobody's really around him. Torben takes the Barash vow for 10 years, so he's in this meditative state with a force field around him, and can't nobody talk to him. And Dara is off on some other planet at some space casino at the bar, hanging out by herself.
Just chilling. She was just chilling. We still don't even have context.
Yeah, I mean, but she's not. I'm saying, of all of them, Saul is the only one who returned to the Order, like active member of the Order, and still going about doing Jedi business. The other three seem like they went off on their own to completely isolate themselves from the rest of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something dirty that they did to kill them witches, or like I don't know if something else happened and the witches are not dead. That would be funny as hell, though. If that ends up being true.
I really hope that whole incident was an illusion. Like,
it was a very powerful Sith use.
Yes, I really hope that. Yeah, I want that whole thing to have been a ruse, and so.
And they're in on it.
I want that whole thing to be a ruse. And then whoever the real bit, like if it's not Chimere, it's some villain who's just as cartoonishly evil as like Palpatine, and like shows himself and is like, "Ha! You've been had." It was
Jim Jones Kool-Aid was fake. We just waited for y'all to leave, and then we all woke up and kept partying. I didn't even know. Still there.
Oh my God! What if it was all a ruse by someone who's an unhinged Jedi, like a really good, like a unhinged, like good person, and did it to like uncover all the bad Jedi. Like, get the fuck out of here with all this.
The unhinged Jedi. It's like, hey, we're exposing the corrupt Jedi.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen the body of Mother Coral either. We didn't see her demise.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we saw Mother Anasea. We did not see Mother Coral.
I really hope I hope my idea is what is canon in this show. I hope
that'll be beautiful. That'll be beautiful, Jonathan. That'll be beautiful.
Woo! I hope so. I know it probably won't. It probably will be some bullshit, but that's fine. I hope not. I hope that whatever they do is better than what I thought about, and or at least just interesting.
Yeah, I'm hoping for interesting. I'm hoping they can try and stick the landing because it's kind of been a meandering journey thus far. They're not giving us everything that we need, and the pacing is off sometimes. I still like the aesthetic of the show. I still like a lot of the sets. We have another comment. I feel a void as the writers killed off so many cool sidekick characters in the last episode. Yeah, too, because we have no more Jackie, no more Yord. They were kind of foils against each other. And we don't get them anymore. We don't get any action from them. We don't get any stiff banter from Yord and Jackie just kind of being there to be that level-headed, like just regular. Like she's not too much. She's not too little. She just right with her attitude and she goes with the flow with whatever's going on. Whereas Yord is super stiff and just super by the book. We don't even see what happened to his apprentice. He had an apprentice in episode 1 that goes on to the ship where they first interviewed OSHA.
Oh, yeah.
She was the I've seen other videos on the alien race that actually shouldn't be with the Jedi technically because of kind of this weird alien racial tension they have between that specific species and the Jedi. So
got some racism in Star Wars.
Of course.
I didn't know there was racism in the
yeah, and the Empire for the most part.
I mean, yeah. Besides that, but
that leaked into the Republic too as well. Some of the attitudes against non-human species and
carry
everything.
over makes sense. I don't know. It does make sense.
So yeah, we haven't seen his Padawan since he passed. Really, since that first episode, I haven't seen her pop back up. Since they killed off him and Jackie, and then the other 5 no-name Jedi that we really didn't get to know about. So they should be bringing her back into the fold. I'm surprised they didn't have her on the rescue team with Moog. I didn't even get a name.
Oh, Jackie? Or not? Oh, you mean the initial Padawan? Yeah, that would also make sense. That would have
because Jackie was Soul's Padawan.
Yeah, that would have made sense. It really would have worked. But they dropped the ball on that, and it would have had more of an emotional weight, I guess. But then again, we don't really. It would have had slight more emotional weight, but then again, we don't spend enough time with Yord and their Padawan to fully get a sense of their relationship.
Know that her seeing her dead master on the planet would have had some type of weight, maybe.
I mean, them opening the scene with their dead bodies was kind of like, all right, y'all are trying to re-traumatize us. Like, we know Yord got his neck broke and Jackie got shot 3 times with a lightsaber blade. Like, come on now, I don't got to relive this. It's trauma.
Yeah, 2 episodes left, huh?
Yeah, I'm not confident. Like I said, I'm enjoying it for what it is, but there's still problems. I'm hoping they can smooth this out. I just don't see how with the amount of time with just 2 episodes and the length of the episodes too. So unless you're going to give us longer episodes, and it doesn't look like they're doing that, but I don't know because they don't post the length of the next episode coming up. But,
I didn't feel like if there was going to be some big reveal, unless they really shock us, I feel like they haven't necessarily set up well a big reveal per se. Yeah,
and even if they do, it's going to seem like it's come way out of left field because they haven't. Everything they've set forth looks like it's painfully obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So, and thus far, it's just been that way. So if they throw us for a loop, I hope it's a good one.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all taking the time out of your day to chop it up about these things. The 5 or 6 of y'all that caught us on live, and Monica, thank you for commenting. Appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to watch us discuss these things. And we will talk to you all next week.
Peace.